Put your hands where I can see them.
Show me your hands. This is the pigs. Show me your hands. Right now! Show me your hands! Right now!
Scavenged, battery-powered police lights protrude from her back. The flickering light show reveals a gun in her shaking hand. Her hand is trembling from some sort of neurodegenerative disease.
Madame, please drop the firearm immediately.
Failure to comply. Suspect is displaying aggression. Officer, under duress! Officer, under duress! I am the police. Don't move. Don't move. Hands on your head. Suspect is armed and dangerous. Lateral vascular neck restraint. Carotid sleeper. Carotid sleeper. Critically reducing blood from passing through the neck of the suspect.
Be careful, detective. Don't do anything that might set her off.
The situation looks bad. Calm yourself. Steady your breathing.
Officer in need of assistance! Suspect alert! Get on the ground!
Ma'am, please. We want to help you, but you need to lower that weapon.
Disturbance reported. Authorized deadly force. Sector, take the shot! Big red key! Big red key!
Big red key. That's code for the battering ram. Cop talk. You know this.
It's a goddamn police shitbag! Hug the pavement! You're under arrest!
As she waves her hands, you notice familiar-looking ampoules and packets sticking out of the mountain of police gear on her back. Medicine or drugs? She thinks she's a police officer. Try treating her like a police officer, a lower-ranking police officer.
What? Sir?
In this moment of hesitation, she almost doesn't seem disturbed, but like someone suddenly waking from a deep sleep.
Easy. Press her too hard and she'll...
With a swift, poorly coordinated move, the woman slams the megaphone against her lips and teeth. A trickle of blood runs down her chin. She doesn't notice it.
Officer compromise! Unlawful impersonation! Pigs en route! Engage your will!
Okay, she's actually more agitated now. My bad.
Confiscated contraband. Restricted access. 2 kilos missing. Eyewitness report compromised.
I don't think she's on drugs. Being off drugs might actually be the problem here.
Back up! Back up! Back up! Status unconfirmed!
Mr. Moran. Gareth.
Aggravated assault! Man down! Officers in pursuit!
There's a scenario unfolding in her head right now. It has nothing to do with what's happening here.
What's the situation, officer?
Law enforcement compromised! Impersonating a police officer!
Does she not believe you two are actually police officers?
License and registration! Come in, dispatch! Sector, azimuth!
It's not a code, just disjointed words.
We can't leave. A delirious civilian is pointing firearm at us. Your firearm. You need to solve this.
She's frantic, confused, teetering under all that gear. There's an opening if you just move fast enough. If not, the lieutenant's got her in his sights. Sure, you're you, but how do we end this? She's not just gonna let you leave.
Suicide by cop! Split-second decision! Eat lead, scumbag!
Oh my God.
God, I almost blew her head off.
What is this? This isn't police issue. Police weapons have bullets. This isn't real. Police guns always have bullets. What is this? Why did you sell me this?
Grab the gun, right now. This might be your only chance.
No one ever cares anymore. Why would they treat me like this?
Oh, we need to figure out what to do with her now.
Nobody's ever around. Nobody ever comes to visit me.
She's in a stupor. I've seen this before. God knows for how long. Could be days when they get like this. Honestly, I don't know. Dementia, probably. Dementia and Channel 8 and loneliness. Yeah, looks like a bad case. But the question is what to do with her right now.
Her scratched skin is warm to the touch, but the person inside doesn't even know you're there.
I don't think there's any need for that. In her current state, and without the gun, she isn't really a threat to anyone. We could let Titus know. This is a perfect problem for the local peacekeepers to handle. They might even know her family. Then we can ask him once we get back to the whirling. But we have to hurry, because it's late and they might have already gone home. But I think we are done here for now. Let's head out. This is done.
Please, leave the radio on.
Reflex to what? Being left alone. She stands motionless, just a heap of clothes and flashes now. Maybe if you search her once more. woman stands slumped. She looks catatonic under her mountain of RCM paraphernalia. Is one of those things a police cap? There were narcotics in there too. You're thinking of taking them? Do. She doesn't even flinch as you reach out and disentangle the familiar-looking lieutenant's cap from her mountain of RCM paraphernalia.
Oh, is that yours?
It's hard to say. It's been so long since you wore yours.
It's your hat.
You take the vial of Pyrrolidon and the bottle of speed as evidence, obviously. She didn't consume them. She didn't look high. She confiscated them, a little like you are doing now.
You're taking those, are you?
Listen to him, for once.
Sure. I guess that's fine.
The old woman doesn't react to your touch. The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. Tomorrow. The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. Tomorrow is just a whisper away. Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure, like that of a woman emptying her lungs. She wraps the collapsing stone box in front of you in her breath, flowing through it. In through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs. And then the beach below the boardwalk, its winding tunnels, a whisper away.
She's down there.
Okay, why? Right. How do we get in there? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically. Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old, and I plan to live to see 70.
An old pipe peeks out from beneath the rotting boards of the boardwalk. Could this be an alternative path into the felled building? A building like this must have multiple doors serving various functions. Perhaps a basement access. Your eyes slowly begin to adjust to the darkness inside the drainage pipe. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder. At first, you can't make anything out in the darkness at all. As your eyes adjust, you see some trash, crumpled up newspapers, cigarette butts. Someone has half-heartedly spray-painted skulls on the right side. And nothing. Broken glass from bottles thrown against the walls of the pipe. A syringe.
Given that this isn't a martial arts thriller, it's highly unlikely, and not without risk to our health either. However, the pipe suggests there may be an entrance to the basement around.
He means the pipe must be coming from somewhere in the building. The lieutenant's face lights up. He doesn't usually notice these little things.
And it's right here, a maintenance door.
It's jammed shut. The subtle approach isn't going to work on this one. Oh yeah, big boy time. This needs you to put your back into it. behind the pipe, the maintenance door, rusted shut and half sunken in sand. You and the lieutenant lean all your weight into pushing the doors apart, but you're not quite synchronizing your efforts. They slam shut again before you can enter.
Let's take a breather and try this again later. It's very tough.
A row of ghostly shades facing a crumbling wall, with another 7 shades standing a cold sea. There's no way the perp is in here, officer. Look how scarred the boards are. All attempts to pry them off have failed. Not this time. The opposition is insurmountable, but I like the spirit. Have some points. It's lonely and cold without points. And dangerous. Dangerous too.
The suspect? God, I hope not. I can't see a way in, though many have tried.
A rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. Some of the rungs are missing.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
The distances between the remaining rungs are rather wide. You'd have to use the mounting brackets. However, they seem corroded and the peeling rust is razor sharp. In addition, The first rung is going to be tough to reach. It's what, 3 meters above the ground, and you're 180? Okay, but still, the roof is collapsing and the wind gets pretty brutal up there. Dismounting from the ladder is going to be hard. Perhaps if you were to not climb the ladder. Instead, what if you were to reconceptualize climbing the ladder? Astral projection. Be open-minded about this.
Teleportation is not a thing. This really has nothing to do with adventure. We are dealing with basic physics here. Oh yes, it could hurt a lot.
He is restraining himself from using a parental tone with you right now. The rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. All you need to do is close your eyes and concentrate. Darkness enfolds you. You can feel the distance between the bench and the first rung of the ladder. All you need to is... Zoot, zap, pow, crinkle! It's like magic. You feel yourself disappear, your atoms fading out of existence.
Okay, well, that's impressive, but...
Bam! You find yourself on the roof, having mastered the art of physical displacement.
I just saw you climb the ladder. You just climbed it like a regular person.
The wind at the top of the building starts howling loudly, blowing away the lieutenant's voice. Faintly you hear.
Never mind. Find a way to let me in when you get inside. Don't go adventuring with a backup, especially if we think the suspect may be hiding here.
Two rusty metal plates that slide apart form a crude door. It's been here under the boardwalk for a while. It's much easier from this side. The panels on the rails slide once you dust the sand off. With the help of your partner, from the other side, the doors open with a creak.
hope no one dangerous heard that. Yes, time to investigate these passages. Let's move quietly and not make more sound.
Could this have been the killer's hideout? And this narrow window, the point of origin of the shot that killed the mercenary? You hear the rain's susurration across the seawater. The night shudders.
It's a great place to hide, certainly. But there hasn't been anyone here in ages. Indeed, no one could get a clear view. Well, at least we've been thorough.
The lieutenant's voice betrays a slight disappointment, which he glosses over by reasserting control. A mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. The plaque reads, K. Mazov. There is a spider web in the lower left corner of the portrait. Years' worth of dust is shaken off. The full head of hair, matched by an ample moustache and sideburns, look a bit silly.
Yes, looks like some latter-day radicals were hiding out here. They left a long time ago. Half a century? This was probably part of the network of defense posts the communards built against the amphibious landing. I think the purpose of this bunker was to produce propaganda. It would have had radio equipment back then, but that's all been looted. We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in rundown neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers. Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. The youths always go for this kind of stuff. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history.
it is again, like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp. A strange tingling you can almost smell.
No, what do you mean? I don't feel it, but we should still be careful. There were footprints back there, and I'm pretty sure they were fresh. Looks like our suspect. If she's in here, we need to plan our next step carefully. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union and the Wild Pines will do? We'll set in motion events we have no control over.
You will upset the balance of power in Martinez. The deadlock between the company and the Union will destabilize. This part of town is a fine clockwork puzzle. Disturb its peace and it will start breaking down uncontrollably. Keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail.
I leave that to your judgment. You already know what I think about cross-pollinating information like this. It's dangerous, but...
He just can't be sure. Maybe it will yield something useful.
Well, we are not responsible for what we can't predict, are we? I don't think the entire city will be razed to the ground.
Let's try not to worry, he thinks. If you can't predict it, there's nothing you could have done.
I think I see a cavern. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise.
I wouldn't be so sure. You haven't exactly been sneaking.
Or maybe not. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back. Yes?
It's getting cold, this late in the night. Time to call it a day.
Good night, officer. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning.
On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough soap. On the table, you see a bowl of water, a rough soap, and next to it, like an artist with a brush or a master swordsman, you use the small mirror and the straight razor with some soap to remove all that unkempt hair from below the nose line. The sharp blade chafes against your skin, producing a scratching sound. The surface underneath the beard feels tender, the air brushing against it chilly. They feel so smooth, surprisingly so. A feeling of freshness overcomes you, as if you just came from a cold bath. The water reflects back a vague image of your clean-shaven face. Despite the bulbous nose, unkempt hair, and persistent swelling, you look a little younger, maybe. You almost look like a professional. Your face, such as it is, a regular human face, sans expression.
Waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards. Simmer down. Simmer down, bastards.
Get the drink on. It would be unimaginable for a human female to have sex with a man without alcohol as the master of ceremonies to guide them.
What? Funny. Funny sailor jokes. Sorry if I'm not laughing out loud, but the comedy has worn thin over the years.
Great. Now you reminded her of the husband. It's okay. She just hasn't figured out how these things work between the sexes. Keep at it.
Waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards. Simmer down. Simmer down, bastards.
You think she really needs more of that after a man died at sea? What if I told you it is actually possible to go on a date sober? Before recorded history, men and women were able to do simple, very primitive things together sober. Acknowledge the situation and keep it basic.
I have, and I don't really. Just a walk? I don't know, officer. I would not have taken you for an innocent perambulator. Where would this walk take us, officer? All right, I will walk with you, but you need to understand that nothing is going to happen. We're just walking. Me too. It's been ages since I just had a normal conversation with one of you guys.
She means men.
Stroll on the beach sounds nice. All right, I guess I'll be seeing you at Land's End in the evening, when it gets dark, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. You better get ready.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with at this late hour? Matter of fact, I don't. I have a medical condition of my own. Nothing unusual, though. I'm old, you see. Of course. That's what I'm here for.
She's not even asking you anything. It's so easy to just say.
Of course, Detective.
An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune. gazes steadily at the waves. A sudden gust picks up her dark hair and lets it fall again, tousled, wild. She brushes a few stray locks from her eyes, and only then spots you approaching.
Aye, so here you are. It's late and the sun is going down. It'll be dark soon. If we stay here long enough, we will be joined by a cortege of drunks and teenagers. Know that you're not the first guy to bring a girl to Land's End. This is what the locals call a make-out spot. That is not going to happen here today. I just want to make that clear, Dimples.
Across the rusty water, that's La Delta, the financial district. In the mist-covered distance, towers rise as a rebuke to the poverty of this coast.
Drinking men aren't known for keeping their appointments. Aye, you're the starriest of them all.
Her laughter is throaty and warm. It rhymes with the waves and the cries of the gulls. As she turns to face the sun reflected in the waves and the skyscrapers rising across the bay, you cannot help following her steady gaze. You should say something, anything, maybe the tequila sunset thing.
It's a common Ravisholian expression. Means drinking yourself to death. And what about you? Keeping the name? Well then, Officer Dubois.
The sun reflected in the waves and the skyscrapers rising across the bay is mesmerizing. Your mind clears for a moment as your senses take it all in. Not just the glass skyscrapers, fragile looking in the shimmering air. River Esperance flowing into the bay.
Isn't it strange for this all-powerful thing, the sun, to be so generous towards us? You know, the best time to go out fishing is usually towards sunset, when the water is warmer.
The sun also falls on the Capeside tenements and war-torn ruins. An old sea fortress juts out, seemingly impervious to the sheen cast over everything else, shaking you out of your reverie. The sun does little for the dead, and those hopelessly lost in their own minds, or people living in desert climates with sparse vegetation and little drinking water.
Oh, that was a bit of pride and a bit of superstition.
And a bit of conceptual unity too, it being yellow and all.
Now you're just nitpicking. But I concede, maybe desert people sometimes disagree.
There's salt in the air, and the cries of the gulls and the skuas, grit of the sand and the green glint of broken bottles. But still your gaze always returns to the dazzling streaks of light, wherever they may be reflected, their opulence.
It's bringing us spring, summer. It's entirely on our side, no matter what we do or who we are, for absolutely no reason. It's unlike no other powerful being, certainly no powerful organization or government. How can that be? No. And it will outlive them all.
Maybe some general remarks before you say something big. Work your way up to the cool.
Thank you. I'm half Ubi. My mother was from Ubi Sunt. Not a lot of sun there, I hear, though I've never been.
The wind ruffles her hair, silver-streaked in the moonlight.
These aren't real fishhooks, silly. They're earrings shaped to look like fishhooks. A drunk called Rosemary brought them to me. I kept them.
She's right. They're made mostly of plastic. A cheap novelty gift you can buy from a flower shop or a kiosk. The wind ruffles her hair, silver-streaked in the moonlight.
I always do. I like it. It's like being on another planet, a water planet, with water worries and water joys.
The wind ruffles her hair, silver-streaked in the moonlight. Say what? Something interesting? Impossible. She turns her head, and the plastic fishhooks rattle in her ears. Nothing shear-worthy takes place in your head. Relax. This was still good.
Thank you. Out there on the other planet, the sea, you start seeing things in a strange light. I'm glad I got to share it. You know, the wind's going to pick up soon, and I have to go, but... Have this. The sun's good, but it doesn't stick things. I've no use for it anymore. No. Men around here are too drunk to pose a threat to me. Doubt it. But thank you for the company.
This is as far as it goes with her. You'd need to put a year between you and your last drink for anything more.
Farewell.
As she walks off, the wind picks up, and the light from the sun seems to fade. The crumbling silhouette of failed electrical R&D towers in the distance, beckoning.
Yes, what is it? I don't want to make anything work. Yes, anything. I don't want to make anything work.
It's not the hypnotic dance music that's made her bitter. It's the failure of Fortress Accident.
That's right. If we couldn't get our Welkins to happen, I don't want anything to happen. Ever again.
There's not a trace of irony in her voice. She means it. Easy. When her research is done, she can move out.
What? No, I don't really need any help with the project.
She thinks about it. A glassy look in her eyes. A gust of wind brings more snow in from the broken gallery. It touches her hair.
All right. Bring me the game's offsite copy from my old workspace, if you really want to help. It's stored on a filament memory, and I'm unable to go and fetch it myself. No, that's the production schedule you stole and accessed without authorization. I don't need it. It's a backup of my former employer's project, the radio game we were working on. It's stored on a filament memory, just like the one inside this radio computer.
She's making it extra simple for you.
The backup itself is destroyed now, but I'm hoping to use what's left of it to pinpoint the exact location of the anomaly. You just have to go to my old workspace and get the filament.
Hold on. If it's called an off-site copy, then why is it still on-site?
Oh God, not this again. It is not on-site. It is in the basement. Perfectly safe and not connected to the front at all.
Basement? Sounds like it's technically still on-site.
And no, taking it outside the building wouldn't have protected it from the data loss. There's nothing wrong with keeping the backup in the basement. What happened was a freak accident that has nothing to do with how the backup was stored. We clear?
This is clearly a painful topic for her. She must have had to explain herself numerous times.
Yeah, that's the one. You can get in through the bookshop. You just have to do some explaining to the bookstore lady. Good. Then you might know the giant ice bear fridge in the building's cellar. The filament is inside the fridge. Just go and get it. In the giant ice bear fridge. I just told you. It has red glowing eyes. It's impossible to miss. You just need to get the offsite copy from the ice bear.
But you've been to the fridge and it wasn't there. There was a note saying,
Wait, a note from whom? Did it specify where they took the filament memory? Jawiza. Of course! Our project lead, Suliswov Jawiza. God, he was always so hell-bent on keeping the copy somewhere safe. And feature creep, and the Valley of the Heads. Like it would have made a difference. The offsite copy was perfectly safe when the data loss happened. That data loss was anomalous. And the heads... I won't even get into the heads. Millions of them. Go find that copy from that ice cream maker, will you? Thanks.
Valley of 1,000 Heads. You like the sound of that.
This is getting ridiculous. Can't you just defrost it? Or, I don't know. I don't know about the ice cream maker. Just figure something out.
There's a solution, but she doesn't want to hand it over to you yet. It's a thing. Something she holds dear.
The bookstore lady hates me. Says I'm part of the curse. Whatever that means. Because she's from Martinez, and people from Martinez have never ever seen a radio computer. She thinks it emits elemental evil. She literally started praying for the higher powers when she first saw my range Civic. I'm not making this up. Once I came in one morning, only to find that my terminal was full of those strange trinkets and amulets. Wards. It looked like some Semenine magic. Thanks. And here's my Kvalsund multi-tool. You might need it to hack loose some ice. It opens everything. If you get me the offside copy, then you can keep the Kvalsund.
It hurts a bit for her to say this. She's not too happy to be parting with the Kvalsund. The legendary Kvalsund multi-tool. This is Prybar version 2.0 for professionals like you. Motorway south. The lone vector stretches in your mind's eye into the wild pale yonder, for an unimaginable distance, forgetting, until you can no longer remember anything. No cities, no mountains, no oceans, and finally, no vector. Nothing remains. A blank space with no point of reference, where only one type of motion is possible. The motion of a human throat, swallowing, and then it comes to you. To reach the end of the motorway south is to be unborn. You've had this thought before, while aimlessly wandering the streets of Jamrock. A lost piece of the man you were. A dark hope. This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it. You slip your fingers under. You need to have the Kvalson KR2 multi-tool in your hand. This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melting. This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric freezer. The ice around it slowly melting. Ice squeaks beneath your Kvalson multi-tool, but your fingers slip away from the tool. The lid shutters tightly as before, and it's already unplugged. There's not much else to do other than wait for it to defrost or bulk up and get stronger. Turning the crank feels oddly satisfying, like stirring your childhood dreams. In the distance, you hear water dripping. It's all gone now. You'll never become a poet or an entrepreneur. This orange machine is dead still. It has ice squeaks beneath your Kvalson. This orange machine is dead still. Ice squeaks. This orange machine is dead. Ice squeaks beneath your Kvalson. This orange machine is dead. Ice squeaks beneath your Kvalson. This orange machine is dead. Ice squeaks beneath. This orange machine is dead. Ice groans and howls under the strain of your giant Kvalson multi-tool until the lid cracks open. Darkness lies inside, but you can faintly make out an object, intricate and foreign, left there for a sub-zero beauty sleep, a filament memory with the words "off-site copy" written on its side. You gently lift the cube from its frosty bedding, careful not to damage it. Yes, but aren't you curious to know what's on the precious filament? There's a radio computer upstairs. A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace. Tiles on the cube are still smoldering, casting the framework in a soft glow. Fluorescent play and print key. Tiles on the cube, like a smooth draw, the filament slides into place. On the keyboard, the play key starts blinking. The speaker comes to life. Static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. An old lady greets you. Her voice sounds 100 years old.
Good evening, Fortress Accident en rue de Saint-Ghislaine. This is East Insulindian Rapid Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the offsite copy? Good. Please repeat the password. No, that's not it.
Maybe it's the second part of the leitmotif you saw on the stained glass window.
Good. I've unlocked the offsite copy. After ending the call, please press print to access the filament.
Ka-ching.
Fortress Accident, is there anything else I can do for you today? Thank you, and goodbye.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. It sounds like something cracks before the piece of paper starts filling up with pure black ink. Something's broken. Machines aren't supposed to behave like this. The paper is soaked with ink, its monochrome darkness spanning from margin to margin. It's not possible to make out any information. A single speck of white shines out from the shade. For some reason, the printer decided to spare this one tiny dot of paper. Marked by the devil itself. Looks like gibberish. Better get running again. Tiles on the cube are still smoldering, casting the framework in a soft glow. Fluorescent play and print keys shine on the keyboard. The filament slides out of its glowing nest. Like a smooth draw, the filament slides into place. On the keyboard, the play key starts blinking. The speaker comes to life.
Good evening. Please repeat. Is this the production schedule? Good. Please repeat the password. Good. I've unlocked the production schedule. After ending the call, please press print to access the filament. Fortress Accident, thank you, and goodbye.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. With a quiet determination, the printer starts printing, a piece of paper unfolding like a handheld fan. A black crisscross of letters covers its surface. It's a project report written by the lead producer, Andrew Andy Schott, about Whirl Untethered, a radio game developed by Studio Fortress Accident. The first few pages give an overview of the capital and workforce, while the rest of it seems to be a production schedule. Fortress Accident employed 18 people, the bulk of the team composed of writers and concept artists. There were also radio programmers, sound engineers, a CEO, 2 marketing experts, and a single overburdened producer who developed a habit of popping Pyrrolidon in the basement to escape his obligations. Why did Fortress Accident have so many concept artists? It didn't. No, definitely not. A few more producers could have come in handy though. especially when dealing with writers, some of whom routinely skip to work because of mental health issues and extremely unprofessional sleep schedules. One of them even managed to steal some valuable company property before skipping town for good. In its short time of existence, Fortress Accident SCA managed to burn through truly insane amounts of money. The first tranche of seed financing brought in 150,000 Riyal, but then came the delays. Eventually, the damage reached 400,000 Riyal, with only half of the game finished. Let's just say it was a real adventure for their Igaunian investor. The production schedule depicts their glorious descent into bankruptcy. Not the concept artists. It wasn't even the writers, with their panic attacks and 3-hour lunches. It was impossible not to fail. The project was too large, and no amount of money could satiate the ever-expanding ambitions of the development team. They tried to make a 4 million Riyal game with 400,000 in their bank account. They thought they could bridge the gap with pure willpower and imagination. They couldn't. No, even then, success remained within an ever-narrowing margin of possibility that, despite everything, never entirely disappeared. That is, until they discovered the Valley of the Heads. At the 11th hour, the lead designer, Jimsk-born Suliswaf Jalisa, decided that what Wirral Untethered needed was a secret mystical location at the extreme edge of the map. This place was to be the Valley of the Heads, where the heads of all the headless constructs could be found. The player would have been able to choose a head for their headless party member, and each head would have been voiced on air by a professional actor. The world had never seen their kind before, and might never again. So many. The last count, there were approximately 10,000 heads for 10,000 headless men, all of which could be endlessly recombined. Do you really want to know? There seems to be a calculation here, but it may take a while. What if you broke the radio computer? What if it's never going to stop? And that's it. Well, yeah, that and the catastrophic data loss. On the nature of the data loss, there's ominously little information in the production log. It comes at the very end, where things get fuzzy and dark, where tables and numbers seem to vanish into an eerie nothingness, before the Igaunian investors pulled the plug. What is clear is that one day, an unidentified numeric anomaly occurred on the East Insulindian lintel front, just as the Wirral Untethered project was being compiled that day. When the project was returned, it was completely blank. The team spent weeks on the phone with Lintel, the service provider, but despite their diagnostics, they could never produce a satisfactory explanation or pay for the loss. Mysteriously enough, it seems that the off-site copy happened to be on-site when the catastrophic data loss occurred. It was the lead programmer's responsibility to oversee weekly maintenance of the off-site copy and, well, keep it off-site. An explanatory note from the lead programmer has been attached. S. Luukinen Kilda, the lead programmer of Fortress Accident. The off-site copy was on-site because there was no off-site anymore. Not for me, not after 8 months of crunch. I didn't have a home anymore, so I started keeping it in the basement in the ice bear refrigerator near where I went to sleep. It was perfectly safe there. The temperature conditions were optimal. Her former colleagues would agree with you. She's right, actually. Nothing wrong with keeping this type of filament memory in a fridge. The production schedule ends with a few random notes that seem to be added sometime later. 4 months later, by an unknown author. I am the only one left, and it's gotten rather damp here. A few other businesses have gone under, too. Slipstream switched to making skis, and the hairdressers just left, cursing Martinez. They're right, though. Something's seriously wrong with this place. Martinez, all of it. Still haven't got an answer from Lintel about what happened. All I could get were the physical coordinates of the error on the East Insulindian front on that day. Since the computation happened on air, I reckoned it had to coincide with an actually existing location. I have compared the coordinates to a map of Revachol West. Turns out it's only 800 meters from here. The address is Saint-Brun 1147. I am going there to look this thing in the eye. Saint-Brun 1147? That's what the street sign next to the church said. Tiles on the cube are still smoldering, casting the filament slides out of its...
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a dye? It's getting late, and it's raining. Time to call it a day.